How's it going, everybody? It is Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL deadline stream. Game week 32 is on the cards, and it's a double game week. It's a blank game week and a double game week at the same time. Believe it or not, Crystal Palace does not play this weekend, and Spurs play twice, which is quite interesting. Haven't really seen one of those in a very long time. And yeah, should be quite interesting. Spurs have two very tasty fixtures. I have my triple captaincy chip in play. I've also done a madness with the transfers. If you joined us for our preview stream or saw my lineup announcement, you will have known that I did 6 transfers. Don't try this at home. The title of the stream is All or Nothing, and basically that's what I've done. I've gone all or nothing, gone with a team that I think is quite strong, and it should set me up well for the remainder of the season. I also still have the free hit in the back pocket for the potential blanks and doubles in 35/36, depending on what they do for rearranging fixtures to give fans, one home game at least before the end of the season. But yeah, and we'll go through the captaincy picks, although it's going to be pretty straightforward this week, but we're still going to take a little deep dive into the numbers. We'll take a look at the fixtures again, and we'll look at the season ticker as we normally do, and the goals imminent table. And we'll be taking your questions in the chat as per normal as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right, so that is the team up on the screen there. I don't think I'm going to be changing it at all. I've already made too many changes this week. It could backfire. It might not, but we will see. We will see. How's it going, Nova? Nice pick. One overrated player, the best midfielder, the player of the game, and KDB. So you're talking about Trent, I assume, being the overrated player. Yeah, and Lundstrom being the best midfielder. Yeah, he was pretty elite. Mind you, Dallas has basically been better than that this season, I think, points-wise. But it was slightly different. Leeds had a little bit more hope, and Lundstrom was like in a Sheffield United team who nobody thought was going to do well. But yeah. I've still not decided if I should use my triple captaincy this week. I think it's not going to get any better, to be honest. Basically, from the doubles that potentially could arise, from what we've seen, the stuff that Ben Krellin's been tweeting out, it's basically like one good fixture, one bad fixture. It's kind of similar to how the double came about before, where like Salah had like one fixture versus United and then Sheffield United, and Bruno had like something similar, where it was like one fixture against Liverpool and then somebody else. But yeah, should be interesting. 35 Leicester is decent. I think just Kane is versus an Everton team that won't have Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They don't really look in good nick at Goodison Park, which they'll be playing at, and Southampton are awful, and I think 4th worst for XG conceded over the last 4 matches. So yeah, I think Kane's the guy, and he's in red hot form, and the numbers have shown that Kane's getting even better. Came with 200% effective ownership. Not going to gain points on that. If you triple captain him, you will. The only way you don't lose points is, or the way you don't, it doesn't do well is if it's 300% effective ownership. Because basically everyone in the game would have to own him. Everyone in the game would have to captain him. And then everyone in the game would have to triple captain him. So if you have the triple captaincy is actually a differential on Kane, believe it or not. And if his rank is lower than 200% effective ownership, you're laughing, because not only are you captaining him, so you still get a rank gain on that, but you also have the triple captaincy as well. So I've activated as well, but not sure Kane will actually do the job. He seems disgusted at Mourinho. Maybe just doesn't go full risk to injure himself to miss the Euros. But Kane is somebody who is quite a... Most strikers are kind of like an egotistical player in their own right, because they have the thing in the back of their mind, ooh, the golden boot. And Kane will see that Salah scored and he didn't, and that they're on 19 goals each, I believe it is, for the season. And I think that Kane is someone who's going to pride himself on that personal accolade. He's going to want to win it outright. And I think this is the first time where Kane's basically been in the run-in for last, I think, couple of seasons, where he hasn't basically been injured at this point. And he's, with a shout. And I think he's definitely going to want to, make that ground up. And, with the extra fixture this week for him against 2 teams that aren't great, he should do well. Zaka says I'm going with Son instead, I think. Well, we'll take a look at the stats for who to captain in just a second here. We'll bring that into the conversation right away. But it basically shows that Kane is red hot. Son hasn't been as good. Maybe, obviously, because he's come off an injury and that sort of stuff. But I think Kane is the guy. Kane fights for the badge, or fights for the jersey and stats, not for the manager. I hope you're right. Yeah, that's what he does, basically. Kane wants accolades. So the rumors about Kane leaving Spurs at the end of the season, maybe he says, just screw it. I'll try to see if I can get Spurs in the top 4, or in the top 6 at least. At least give them, like kind of a farewell. Like, I helped you get this. I'm off to go get some trophies, basically. Then that could be possible. Hey, how's it going? But yeah, let's take a look at the Who to Captain table. So this is my captaincy table that I basically built out here. If the thing would snap over properly without actually doing that. Cool. So this is the captaincy table that I built. So basically I have big chances created, chances created, goals, shots inside the box, and XGI, so expected goal involvement. And Kane, over the last 6 matches, he blows basically everyone out of the water, apart from Iheanacho. But he's been basically doing it all season. And he's up against 2 defenses who are just not good at all, and haven't been good for quite some time. There was a stat that they've been bringing up on Black Box, where basically they've been looking at who's been giving away basically double-digit holes, the big holes, and whether it was at home or at away. Everton, away from home, I think it was only 5 double-digit holes, whereas at Goodison Park, it's like 12 or 13, I think it was. And then Southampton has just been bad defensively overall. So if you're looking at a fixture, Kane away to Everton is a very good one. He could easily score in both games. And if he does and gets 3 bonus points, that's 18 points right there. I've seen some, in the comments, people saying, well, Kane averages 6.5 points, but Kane's Harry Kane. This is one of the best seasons, if not his best season ever in FPL in terms of attacking output. I think he's tied for most goals in the league, and he's like either tied or most for assists as well, which is absolutely insane. And if we look at Son, big chances created. He's created 6 big chances, so Son's quality into whoever's, finishing him off, typically Kane, is quite good. And there's no coincidence that over the last 6 matches, 7 big chances total for Kane, 6 big chances created for Son. Kind of where they're mostly going. And Kane's going to be scoring more points for goals than Son is for assists. And when Kane scores a goal, typically he's up in the bonus points. Also, he's on penalties. And Southampton haven't been looking good at the back. And neither have Everton. Everton mainly from the fact that they just don't know what they're doing at the moment by this seems thing. I think Ancelotti's like, once he doesn't have Alan, once he doesn't have James Rodriguez, once he doesn't have Calvert-Lewin, like one of these 3 players is out, it kind of shapes the whole team and makes it just kind of bleh. I mean, once James Rodriguez, I think he, or Alan, whoever it was, got a knock in like game week 5 or 6. Like the first 4 game weeks, they were electric. When they had that full starting 11 where it was a midfield of Andre Gomez, Decore, and Alan, they were unbeatable. Basically, they were unstoppable. Calvert-Lewin up front, Richarlison on the left, James on the right, doing all sorts of things. The second you lose Alan, or the second you lose James Rodriguez, or the second you lose Calvert-Lewin, one of those 3, it just goes to pot. And then they also lost Digne as well. So, and they've never had all of them back basically in the same team. And Decore is another good part of it as well. But basically, their first 11 is great, but once you start taking 1 out of it, 2 out of it, the team kind of goes to pot really. The thing is that Son isn't really that good of a player unless Kane is good. Pretty much, basically. It's basically like, if Son's doing well, then Kane is probably doing well, if not better. Which is the craziest thing. So basically, it doesn't make sense to triple captain Son, in my opinion, because if Son scores, who's most likely going to assist him? Probably Kane, in most cases, or one of the fullbacks, which is actually brought up on Black Box. But are you really going to be looking for, Reguilon and Aurier is like a 3rd pick or something like that? Who knows? Hey, Ozfit, I assume you mean Rafinha fit? Does anyone know? I believe Rafinha is still a doubt. It's not for certain, but I think he had like a dead leg or something like that. So I think, when do Leeds play? Leeds play on, when did Leeds play? Monday, so he should be back, but I would say it's probably like a 75% chance he plays. So yeah. I'm going with Son either way. You could stick to your guns. I mean, if you have Kane and Son, I think you definitely go one of them for sure. I would say Kane, just because it's Kane, and the stats show everything to point to Kane. Whether effective ownership is high or not, it doesn't really matter in my opinion. I think having both is good, and the triple captaincy is a differential because some people used it in the earlier double game week. So we'll see. Or should I triple captain Podence? I believe Podence is done for the season as well, I think. But I could be wrong on that. I heard somebody mention that. What will Kane's EO be? I would say probably close to 200%. I would say it's probably close to 200%. I would think. If not over it. So basically, if you captain Kane, you're covering yourself. If not, you're basically in the bin. And the triple captaincy is still a differential over Captain Kane. Podence is done, the Wolves guy. I think I heard that. I could be wrong though. I heard it on one of the podcasts I listened to. Let me see. Podence, Wolves. I could be wrong though. Or maybe it was just Neto I'm thinking of. Yeah, maybe somebody misspoke. I don't see anything on Podence, and if he's not flagged in FPL, then it's probably okay. I think it's Neto. I think I'm thinking of Neto. Maybe I got them confused. I put Podence early in the season. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. As long as if he's not flagged, then because Nuno had a press conference, and he would have mentioned something. Yeah, he's not flagged, so he should be fine. Yeah, I misspoke on that then. I'm just probably thinking of Neto. Maybe I misheard it somewhere. But yeah, for the captaincy, I think that I think that Son. Basically, what we've seen as a trend is Son's the chance creator. He's been creating less chances over the past few weeks, but the few chances that he has been creating have been of good quality. And one thing about Southampton as well, which is kind of a coincidence that they're going to be playing them, is Southampton haven't been conceding very many, as much chances as the likes of Crystal Palace or Burnley or Sheffield United, who are both of them in like the bad defenses in the league. But they concede very, very good chances to opposition. So chances where they are very, very likely to score. Because Southampton is open at the back with their very high defensive line, which we've seen in the season earlier, that they got exposed for that. So if you're thinking of Son could be the guy getting in behind, maybe Kane plays like the assist man. Who knows? But again, that's the second game of the week. And I think both of them are going to do well. I think you have to have both of them in your team this week. If you have triple captaincy, either Kane or Son, I think it's perfectly fine. The only thing is that if Kane's 200% effective ownership, and you triple captain Son, and they both go even, you get a red arrow even if you use the triple captaincy, or you like break even or something like that, which is not ideal. Which is why it's better to just triple captain Kane. I think having Son in your team is good enough. That's the way you see it. So basically, you lose rank if you don't captain Kane this week. If you captain Son this week, I don't think he's going to be 100% effective ownership, and you're going to be losing rank if you don't captain Kane. So that's why it just doesn't make sense in my eyes to not captain Kane if you have Kane and Son. If you have just Son, then cool, that makes sense. But I would say try to see if you can get Kane in for a hit if you can. If you have neither, well, you hide behind the couch both games, pretty much. But yeah, and then we look at some other players here. So we got Fernandez, middle of the run. Salah, middle of the run. Iheanacho's up there. Vardy, not as good. Lingard's doing quite well. But I think the clear runner this week is Kane, and that was quite evident, I think, when the double game week was announced, especially versus the two teams who are quite bad defensively. I did Neto to Podence, got a little scared. I mean, yeah, Podence could play false 9 or something like that, so I think that's quite good. So, Rafinha or Digne, who to start? So both players don't have the greatest fixtures, but I always favor Leeds to score against anyone. just because of the amount of chances they create. So I would go Rafinha. I think Rafinha's the character that'll still like play. Rafinha's been chopped down and all kinds of stuff, and I think he's still fine to play. So I think it was just a dead leg. It wasn't like an actual injury, that sort of thing. I think he should be fine. I got rid of him this week, but that was because I wasn't going to play him. So yeah, I think if you have him and he's going to be a player in your lineup, then I think he's better than Digne this week, personally. Anyone who plays Sheffield is a possible captain. That too. Yeah, anyone who plays Sheffield United is a possible captain. But I think this week it's just... I mean, it's Kane or Son, really. And I think it's Kane because everyone's going to flock to Kane. There's going to be triple captaincy chips flying about, mine included. And I think if you have both, you pick Kane because Kane is going to be higher owned. So that basically, if you captain Son and you have Kane in your team, you're basically rooting against Kane to not get returns and Son to get returns, which is very hard to do. And I much rather think that the combination from Son to Kane is more likely than somebody to Son, which is that's just from days past. And Kane to Son is still going to be Kane favorite anyway. That's just how I see it, and that's because Son has mainly been more of a kind of creator role. Vestergaard will probably mark Kane, so Son maybe gets a little bit more space. Yeah, but the thing is, Kane is still good enough to get move in and around Vestergaard. Kane also kind of drops off and can pull defenders out of space and can still shoot very well from outside the box. So I think it's just Southampton, whether they mark Kane or not. I think Kane's not fast, but neither is Vestergaard, and I think that Son will create the space. Kane will pull the defender one way or the other, find the space, and then be able to get the shot off. So yeah. Hey, Pilot, what's up? How's life? Hope you're doing good. Hey, John Wick, how's it going? Things are going great. Took a -20, so we're having a little bit of fun for the rest of the FPL season, I think. So yeah, just if I can get into the top 100k, I'll be ecstatic. But again, not really seeing too much else after that. So I just went with a team to fix things up, and then maybe we go with some one-off punts for the rest of the season. Just been a really weird season, to be honest. Bit rough on a lot of players. I mean, I've taken a -20 this week, and I think I'm still a higher rank than Late Riser, who came in the top, what was it, 200, 100 last season or whatever it was, 300. And he's usually like #1 in India every season, basically, because he's that good. And his plan hasn't worked out, so yeah, bit interesting. My 2 triple captain Kane, yeah, fair enough. It just makes the most sense. I don't think you're gonna get anything better because the other fixtures, like I said, from what we're seeing, is that it's gonna be like one good one and then like one like or bad one. Kind of how it was in the previous double game week. I think it was 26, where like Sal had like Sheffield United at home or away or whatever it was, and then he had Man United. Son gets an extra point for goals scored. See, that still doesn't matter though. Yeah, he gets an extra point for goals scored, but at the end of the day, if you have Kane in your team and you captain Son is probably going to be maybe close to 100% ownership, maybe close to, based on his ownership. Maybe he's like in the 90% realm, let's say, hypothetically. By having Son in your team and not captaining him, you still gain rank rise because he's less than 100% effective ownership. Kane will be way over 100% effective ownership, probably knocking 200, if not over that as well. So if you have both, basically, by not captaining Kane, you have a player in your team who is losing you rank because you didn't captain him, and he has the same fixtures as the guy who is probably going to assist him. So if Son scores, but Kane gets the assist, yeah, Son gets 2 more points, and Kane gets 2 less points than Son. But at the end of the day, Kane is still getting points. So you're losing way more. So let's see if I can do a basic calculation. So if Kane, let's say, is 175% effective ownership, right? So that's 1.75, which means he's 75% effective points against you, right? So 0.75 times 3. Every time Kane gets an assist, he basically docks off 2.25 points off of Son, effectively, if Son is the assister, or Son is the goal scorer, which means that if you subtract 5 and then change the minus, hold on, it was 5 minus 2.25, right? You're basically only getting 2.75 points per goal for Son if it was Kane assist, Son goal. In that sense. Now, if you captain Son, obviously there's a different calculation, but basically you're not getting as much value out of it because of how effectively earned Kane is. I think that's how the calculation works, but basically if you have both, it just doesn't make sense to captain Son unless you think, you know, Kane's playing like CDM or something and he's not going to be involved in any of the goals, in which case you're then you're rooting against one player in your team to not get anything. And Son for Son to get all the points, which is highly unlikely in the first place because Son and Kane have that kind of partnership, and I think they've either broke it or close to breaking Drogba and Lampard's record for one's the assister, one's the goal scorer. I brought in Moura for the double. He can score and assist. Yep, I think Lucas Moura is perfectly fine. Whether he plays both is, you know, up for debate, but I think he should play both. I mean, he's a Mourinho type player. He works hard off the ball. He, you know, runs up and down the pitch, has the pace, never stops trying. Mourinho likes that sort of stuff. I have 2 free transfers. I did Gundogan to Son, DCL to Iheanacho, and Cancelo to Holding. Yeah, I think those are fine transfers. And the team is Martinez, Sanchez, Digne, Stones, Holding, Constant Burns, Salah, Lingard, Son, Bruno, Pereira, Kane, and Bamford. And Iheanacho. Who does Bamford have? Bamford has Liverpool, right? And then Pereira has Leicester. I assume that's Pereira from West Brom. I think I would personally play Pereira over Bamford, you know. If I had to choose between Bamford and Pereira, because Leicester's defense hasn't shown me that much, really. And they're quite bad recently, in the past few game weeks, on the counter-attack. And West Brom have been quite good on the counter-attack in the last couple of games, at least. I mean, they split Chelsea apart, and were looking lively even before the sending off. They split Southampton apart multiple times, who like to play somewhat of a high line. Leicester may try to do the same thing at home, and they might get burnt on the counter as well. So I would personally maybe consider Pereira. Also, another fun fact, since game week 19, the top 3 players for points scored, I believe, is Bruno in third, Gundogan was first, Pereira from West Brom was second since game week 19, believe it or not. Which is mental to think about. It's just crazy. Yeah, if it was me personally, who does Konsa play? Konsa plays Man City, so that's not ideal. Burn plays Chelsea, yeah. So you basically just Digne, Stones, Holding. Yeah, I would consider playing Pereira over Bamford, to be honest. That's just my opinion. Just because I like the fact that, you know, not many people have Pereira. West Brom have something to fight for, and if we look at I'm going to bring the Premier League table up actually. You know, Leicester maybe starting to bottle it. They've lost their last 2. Maybe there's something in that. Have they lost the last 2? I think so. Yeah, because they lost the City as well. So if you just bring up the Premier League table here, if I can get that up on the screen. So if we see here, right? West Brom are 2 points behind Fulham. They've won their last 2 games. They got 7 points in their last 5 games. They've been looking good, and Fulham have been, you know, slowly slipping away. Is it too much to catch Newcastle? Maybe, but Newcastle's fixtures towards the end of the season. Let's see how many fixtures Newcastle probably win before the end of the season. Newcastle versus West Ham, you probably think a West Ham win. Newcastle versus Liverpool, I don't expect Newcastle to beat Liverpool. Same for Arsenal. I don't expect Newcastle to beat Leicester personally, just because of the way they play, and Leicester can control them a little bit better, maybe. That one's a bit tricky. I think Leicester's still a bit vulnerable. City, they're not beating. Sheffield United, they should beat, but the last time they played them, I think they had a boring 0-0. And then Fulham, obviously, on the last day could be a decider. So you're maybe saying maybe 2 wins in there? Maybe? West Brom, they have Leicester. Again, it's the same thing with Newcastle. Aston Villa, definitely be got at. Wolves, they can definitely pick up something from that. West Brom, they didn't do quite well versus Arsenal last time, but maybe looking to get that back. That's going to be tricky. They play Liverpool as well, but they drew with them 1-1. And then they play West Ham as well, and then Leeds on the final day. So again, West Brom, they aren't out of it. They aren't out of it. Should I bet Saka home to Fulham or KDB away against Villa? I would just play KDB. The likelihood is if City are up 2-0, KDB either starts and plays 60 minutes and gets subbed off, or he stays on the bench the whole game. So I'd play KDB personally. I can and I want to do just because I don't think he will play. Yeah, if KDB doesn't play, then Saka comes in anyway, most likely. I just don't see KDB coming on as a sub. Maybe he gets some minutes, but I think he's either going to start and play 60 minutes plus, or he's going to not play at all. And with the Champions League, they still have it. What's Man City's fixtures look like? So Man City, they have obviously the semi-final tomorrow, so Pep's going to play his strongest team in that. Then Aston Villa on the Wednesday, and then they have the EFL Cup final, and then they have the second leg of the first leg of the Champions League versus PSG. So if you're thinking KDB would have to play Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, if he was to play in those games. I think the likelihood is KDB plays versus Chelsea, doesn't play versus Aston Villa, plays in the EFL Cup final, plays versus PSG, doesn't play versus Crystal Palace, plays versus PSG. Maybe? I don't know. KDB's kind of a weird one because he has played a lot of games in succession before and been perfectly fine. I think if it was Gundogan, I would say probably not. If it was maybe Riyad Mahrez, maybe not. But I think it's a bit weird. I think KDB is either likely going to play 60 minutes, get hooked off after they're up 2-0 or something, or he's just not going to play at all. St. Maximin on the wing, and he got Lemon down. Just bring him in. Yeah, I mean St. Maximin is quite interesting actually. He is quite an interesting player. I mean, he was one of the players that we had in the beginning of the season. I think I had him as well, as like earmarked as like he's so cheap. He's got good fixtures off the start, or like had decent fixtures and like was looking quite good. But he got like injured like almost immediately, basically, and was kind of a bit of annoying. Who make the FA Cup final? I hope it's Chelsea. I think an interesting contest would be Chelsea versus Leicester. It'd be like ultimate control. Possession football in Tuchel's side versus the ultimate counter-attacking football of Leicester and Brendan Rodgers' team. That'd be interesting to see. So yeah. I think Chelsea's teams don't do the quadruple. I mean, I hope that City do not win the quadruple, because that would be, not only would they would be considered the best team ever in the Premier League because they won 4 trophies, but it would also be kind of controversial because there was no fans in the stadium, it was COVID, it was this, it was that, they have the best squad, the whole nonsense, but they still have to be acknowledged, and I don't want to do that, basically. So we need I'm a PSG fan when they go to play them in the Champions League. I'm a Chelsea fan tomorrow, so yeah, go on you Blues, basically. So yeah. And I think that'd be quite interesting. Imagine if Thomas Tuchel comes in over Lampard, beats City in the semi-final, wins the FA Cup, then beats Real Madrid, and then beats like City in the final for the Champions League. So they basically knocked them out of both cups that want them to get the people like, oh, they're on for the quadruple, and Tuchel just comes in and just goes, nope, not today, and just wins both. That would be amazing, I would think. It would suck because there would be a lot of Chelsea fans that, that would be like, oh, look, we won all this, our manager's the best, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I'd rather that than City win the quadruple, that's for sure. I've copied your attack. I mean, possibly. There's a lot of people that have this team. I made these transfers last Sunday. Basically, I just had enough, effectively. You could say, yeah, I was on tilt or whatever, but they were with good reason. Lingard comes in for Saka, who was looking like he was injured. Salah was coming in because Salah was coming in. Iheanacho swap from Vardy just makes sense because I had needed to get the funds from somewhere. Wasn't getting rid of Fernandes, wasn't getting rid of Kane, wasn't getting rid of Son, so Vardy was the most underperforming. Swapped Iheanacho, who has been the man in form, is quite cheap, plays a forward line. Gets the funds for Salah. Cresswell's out for 2 to 3 weeks, so we brought in Masuaku, who's a good alternative and quite attacking. And then Vidra was just a cheap enabler forward that we can use next week, basically. Pretty simple on that. Just checking something here. Fix that. Triple captain Son or Kane, since Son is a mid, he gets an extra point 3 times. Hart says Son because it will boost your rank. Well, that's not necessarily true. If you have Son and Kane is in your team, and Kane's 200% effective ownership, every time Kane gets an assist, you get 6 effective points against, or like 3 effective points against you, which is really, really bad. I think if you have both, I think you go Kane. I mean, the stats show that the Spurs have been creating less chances slightly. Son has been creating less chances, but when he has been creating chances, they've been big chances, and they've been all basically been going to Kane, pretty much. And I think that Kane is the out-and-out goal scorer. So yeah. Do you follow Andy Martin on Twitter? I don't know who that is. My name may ring a bell, but I don't know who that is. Is he like a team person for like early Twitter news or something like that, for early team news? But yeah, the stats show that Spurs number of chances has been going down slightly, but they've been increasing the quality of chances. Kane's been, keeping his assists on like a steady-ish like path, but he's also been scoring, whereas Son hasn't been scoring nearly as much. He's still creating chances, but just not as much. And against Southampton specifically, which is the fixture, I think that they go absolutely nuts. Southampton don't create nearly as don't concede nearly as many chances as the likes of Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, these sorts of teams. But when they do concede a chance, it's like their high line is up, someone's in behind, or somebody's created the chance for them, or they get a very, very good chance. Whether it's not necessarily a ball over the top or something like that. It could be Kane, it could be Son, it could be anyone like that. Son scored 4 last time, but Kane also just got a crazy amount of points as well. So, in which case, let's say that scenario happens where Son gets a ridiculous amount of points, Kane gets a ridiculous amount of points, and they're about even. If you didn't captain Kane, your rank goes down. That's pretty much how it works. Even with the triple captaincy, his dad is a meme. Every time Andy Martin sells a player, his father captains that player, and so many times he gets crazy returns. This week his dad captained Lingard and brought Aurier. That matches somebody every time they it's been happening. Late Rise, an example. He sold Havertz for game week 31, and Havertz went, could have had a hat trick, pretty much, but goal and assist. It happens sometimes. Hoping for a double Tottenham clean sheet. Yeah, that's definitely possible. Everton with no Calvert-Lewin, who knows what they're going to do. Southampton haven't been scoring as much as what they could be. Like if we look at Where's Danny Ings here? I mean, they scored 2 versus Burnley, but Burnley have been, you know, not ideal. Brighton, they only scored 1. City, they scored 2, but were quite fortunate to do so. And City were kind of in cruise control. Sheffield United, they obviously scored. But yeah, like, they haven't been doing that great. And there was a point where Southampton were first in the league. And I think since which they haven't gained like more than 10 points or something. Like there was a point where they were like top of the league. It was like, I remember like 26 or 28 points, and they have like what, 36 points? It's not great. Didn't Southampton just lose 3? Yeah, and they just lost 3-0. Could have lost by more. So definitely could have lost by more. For sure. But yeah, so let's actually take a look. I'm gonna just look quickly at the fixtures. So it's a draw. It's a long. Some people like these sorts of weeks. I think it's like I don't really care for them too much, where the fixtures are kind of drawn out with like FA Cup fixtures. Like if the FA Cup fixtures, like let's say, so I like a 2 full days worth of football. So if there's a game at 8:30, I like one at like 11 o'clock, then the 1:30, then the 4 o'clock. I like that sort of day where it's like 4 fixtures spread out across the whole day. You get a whole day worth of football. It's great. But like, you know, these sorts of days, like when are the FA Cup fixtures? So the FA Cup fixtures is tomorrow at 1:30. So basically you have Newcastle versus West Ham, which could be interesting. So that's gonna finish at around, let's say, 10:30 my time. Then the FA Cup fixture's not till 1:30, so I gotta wait 3 hours for the next game. And then 1:30 to 3:30, let's say, and then this one's at 4:15. So in the afternoon it's quite good. But you have like that 3-hour gap where it's like, you know, I don't really like it. I'd rather there be a game in there. And then on the Sunday, you got 9:30 Arsenal versus Fulham. That's going to finish around 11:30. Okay, fine. Man United Burnley play at 12. And then Southampton, that'll finish at around 2, let's say my time. And then 2:30, Leicester plays Southampton. So that's a half an hour after this game is more or less supposed to finish. And that'll end at 4:30. So that's not as bad. But then like the Monday 4 o'clock, I mean, that's you know, the one-off games are fine, but they could have potentially congested the week at least a little bit. Like I think the Leeds Liverpool game could have been on Sunday if they wanted to, if they really wanted to. But it is what it is. I don't really like the week when it's like drawn out. And the thing is, you're gonna have situations where, you know, people who have you know, Kane, let's say Kane captained or just Son captained or whatever. Maybe people don't even have Kane. Kane goes ballistic that day. Well, you gotta wait till Saturday, and then on Saturday, are you potentially gonna have your captain here? I don't know. Maybe Jesse Lingard. Not really too sure on that one. But like the 2 fixtures are not like the most eye-catching fixtures. They're not like the big teams where all the West Ham's in the top 4 at the moment. Then you have Sunday. You have probably maybe, let's say most teams will probably have just Fernandes, maybe Shaw on the whole of Sunday. Then Leeds Liverpool, you know, that's going to probably have a couple of players in it. If Salah and Jota go crazy and you don't have them, then you have to wait till, you know, Tuesday. Chelsea, okay, maybe you have a couple of Chelsea defenders instead, or alongside them. They don't keep a clean sheet, then you got to wait till the next day. Like it just seems really drawn out. Like there could be a lot of like day, like it's basically like day, does something good or bad happen? Something good happens. Okay, you feel good for the whole day. So when things are going well in these types of weeks, it's great because you're just like, I want more, and you're looking forward to the next day. Whereas if they're not going well, then it's like I have to wait till the next day and have hope for that day. Oh, it's not going well again there. Oh, it's not going well again there, and it kind of snowballs, and it's kind of just a bit of a nuisance. Whereas like Gameweek 33, that seems a little bit more palatable. So the final is on Sunday at 12:30. So that's like it's kind of sandwiched in between here. So it's 1 hour before the West Ham Chelsea game, which is a bit weird. Um but yeah, it's kind of a bit weird. They could have potentially put this West Ham Chelsea game at 11 and then started the Man City Spurs game at 1, maybe 1:30, something like that, if they wanted to make it so that the broadcast and all that sort of stuff is, you know, still good. And then like the Sunday's not ideal either. You know, you have Wolves at 8 in the morning. Wolves Burnley, who's gonna get up for that? At least for my time, it's midday for people in the UK. And then the 2 p.m. kickoff in the UK, Leeds versus Man United. That should be good. But then you have Aston Villa West Brom. It's like, you know, this game's gonna end at you know, midday my time probably, which is 4 in the afternoon UK time. But then the next game's not until 3 hours later, basically. Again, the 3 hour gap is kind of a bit bleh. I like them to be all kind of packed on top of each other, so I can sit down, watch all the football, and then go from there. They were on top in round 7 or 8 with 16 points, I think, and only have taken more points than 2 other teams, I think. I probably bet on many games. We'll probably bet on many games. I mean, there's some good fixtures that may seem like favorable on paper. I mean, Leicester versus West Brom. You probably think that Leicester should win that. Spurs should be beating Everton and Southampton. Will they, though? Who knows? I just hope that Kane scores goals, basically. West Ham versus Newcastle. I mean, West Ham should be beating Newcastle. But yeah, it is a bit tough to call sometimes. I mean, like, my team on paper, like, I don't expect this team to get anything short of a very good green arrow this week, even with the -20, because Cody came out for Target. If I had to play Target, I don't expect Target to keep a clean sheet. I expect Cody to keep a clean sheet. Lingard over Saka. I expect Lingard to do better, and Saka might not even play potentially versus Fulham, as they might rest him to keep, you know, because he still has an injury, sort of. Salah, I expect him to make back his return this week, almost certainly, over Rafinha. It definitely over the next 2. Iheanacho, he can make that back almost immediately over Vardy. You know, he gets a goal, and Vardy doesn't. He's made it back already. You know, Masuaku and Vidra, that's something a little bit different. That's what kind of the triple captaincy kind of covers for that a little bit. Well, we'll see. We'll see the calculation. I'll make sure to check that out on the preview. Because basically we're looking at Lingard was effectively the free transfer. Whereas Cresswell to Masuaku, Target to Cody, Wilson to Vitra, Vardy to Iheanacho, and Rafinha to Salah were all the hits. So I have to I'll work out the calculation once the week's over. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting because with the scheduling for videos as well. So realistically, we can't really do much, like, in terms of like streams, I don't think, until after at least every team's probably played once. So, but I don't like doing a stream unless the whole game week is either pretty much finished or finished. But I think the Spurs Southampton game is quite crucial. I think the Villa City game is crucial. I think the Leicester West Brom game is crucial. So I really wouldn't want to do it until Thursday, and then the game week starts literally the next day. So it may be preview stream on Thursday to see how the game week went, or maybe we do the stream on Wednesday for that. And then the deadline stream will be Friday, same time as we have it this week. Yeah, it should be quite interesting. Let's take a look quickly at the goals imminent table. So this is the table created by FF Scout member Joe on the Fantasy Football Scout members area. And basically, these are the number of players here that are basically due a goal. So if we're looking at this, we see Mane's on there, Richarlison, Sterling, who a lot of people brought in last week on wildcards, potentially as a 1 week punt. Alonso's on there, Havertz is on there, Bruno Fernandes, McGoldrick, Mitrovic, Mount, and Armstrong. So a lot of people have been discussing maybe the fact that Bruno Fernandes is somebody that we could potentially be looking to get rid of. I don't see it personally. I brought him in because I think for the run-in, he's going to want to be helping United get as close to City as humanly possible. He's going to play in the league basically every week. And I think in terms of his good fixtures, Burnley, Leeds, Wolves, and Fulham, those are all good fixtures. So that's 4 out of the remaining 7. Aston Villa away might not be too bad. Depends on if Grealish is there. If Grealish isn't there, I think United have a very good shot in that. Leicester, that's a bit tricky. And Liverpool is probably a bit tricky. But if Rashford's fit for this Liverpool game, which I think he'll probably make sure he is for it, I think United have a very good chance of just beating Liverpool outright. And it would be very nice to, or a very nice kind of motivation for United to say, hey, look, we're in the top 4. Almost guaranteed. Liverpool are trying to get in the top 4. They've had a miserable season. Let's make it even worse for them because they're our rivals. So I think that could be quite crucial. And I think that United are going to want to give Leicester a game as well because of the fact that, they're going to be trying to maintain themselves in the top 4 because it is quite close in the Premier League. I'm just going to bring it back up here. So, yeah, so that's the Premier League table. Let me move it a little bit more centrally. So, yeah, that's... The table is quite tight. I mean, United has got a 7-point buffer. They've been doing quite well. Actually, has the best form in the league over the last 5 because they've got 4 wins and a draw, whereas City have 2 losses and 3 wins. But Leicester, lost the last 2. West Ham have been doing quite well. Chelsea are kind of there or thereabouts. But again, West Ham play Chelsea next week. So it should be interesting to see how they go about that game. Because Chelsea, a team, likes to hold a lot of possession. West Ham like to counterattack. May play perfectly into their hands. But Chelsea with the back 3 could, be quite strong into that. Liverpool have the best run of fixtures I think I've ever seen, like all things considered, for the end of a season. They only have United, which is a really tricky fixture, but if you're thinking that they're going to win basically every other game, they're going to be sitting on, what's that, 32, so 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. So 6 times 3 is 18. So they're going to be looking at 70 points plus whatever they get out of the United fixture. West Ham, can they do that as well? Possibly, but it is going to be close. I think there's a likely chance that Leicester potentially drop out because their last 3, they play United. I believe they play, who did they actually end up playing? Leicester, United, Chelsea, and Spurs. Again, the Chelsea Leicester one could be quite crucial. The Spurs one on the last day could be a quite drab for Spurs because they may just be already out of it because of their form. But yeah, it could be interesting. Also, Brighton, Burnley, Newcastle. They're not out of the woods yet, but I say they get themselves an extra win or so. They should be okay. Newcastle could be tricky. Burnley have United, so not great. They could potentially get some from Wolves. Maybe they get something off Fulham and just knock them down a peg. They have Sheffield United on the last day. I think Burnley are probably going to end up being okay. Brighton have Chelsea, but they also have Sheffield United and Wolves as well, so potentially some points there. Maybe they get something for Leeds, but I think they're pretty much safe. It's just a matter of how West Brom and Fulham go about their business. But I think Fulham, they should have been picking up 3 points versus Wolves. They didn't, because Wolves basically play better than them. Arsenal is going to be tricky. Chelsea's going to be tricky. Burnley, again, they're going to be quite stubborn, and if they get a draw out of Fulham, it's just bad for Fulham. Southampton's where they could get something in Newcastle, but again, that's still not enough. And then when looking at Newcastle, their fixtures aren't great either. Probably not going to win versus West Ham, Liverpool, maybe Arsenal, probably not Leicester, maybe. Man City's going to be tough, and then it's Sheffield United, Fulham on the last day that can kind of just put the nail in the coffin. I mean, this game might be irrelevant by the time it comes around, so could definitely be all sewn up. Mind you, I would like to see a last game of the season where it's like Fulham wins, they're in, Newcastle win, they're in. That'd be quite interesting, especially on the same day as potentially last game of the season. The whole top 4 could change. Like, there was a situation where it was like Chelsea played Wolves and United played Leicester, and there was a various different combination where any 3 of those, like Leicester, Chelsea, and United, could get into the top 4, which was interesting. I'm going to stay on Son triple captain. I can't change now, just because if I change, I'm going to get angry if Son does better than Kane. Yeah, I mean, stick to your guns. I say play the game you want to play. The way you put the captaincy is you put the captaincy on somebody you think is gonna score the most points. I just don't, me personally, and the stats kind of back me up on this, I just don't envision a situation where if Son scores, that Kane is not involved in the game at some point, whether it be on Son's goal or on a separate goal or separate other goals. Whereas Kane scoring, yes, Son might assist it, but I also envisage that Kane can also score from the fullbacks. Like, I think it's very rare where you're going to see, like, Reguilon going down the left, whips in, like, a cutback towards Son, and Son puts it in. That's probably going to be a cross towards Kane's head, most likely. If Son does better than Kane, I'm going to get a huge green arrow. It depends on how much better, I would say. Depends on how much better. Because if, let's say, if Kane and Son are even, you get a red arrow. Definitely a red arrow. If Son does slightly better than Kane, it's probably still even a minor red arrow. Son has to do way better than Kane, I think, because Kane's ownership is going to be so high. That's just how I see it. Like, if Son gets 15 points, let's say, and Kane gets 4, oh yeah, you're laughing. But I just don't see Kane not scoring, which already hinders you right away. And then you already have to say, well, Son needs to get something, at least something and a piece. Basically, he needs, like, every time Kane scores 1, Son has to, like, score 1 and get an assist, kind of, because of the way the ownership kind of thing is going to work. But yeah, if you think Son's gonna bang, then by all means go for it. I don't think Son is going to be over 100% effective ownership. I wouldn't think, anyway. So I think so many people, so many players, so many managers will be drawn to Kane just because of his form. And he's in the same fixtures with Son. Yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, there is definitely a week where, Son gets a goal versus Everton, gets a couple on the break versus Southampton, maybe Kane only gets an assist on one of them, and then you're laughing. But I think it's just, this is one of those times where I think, there are weeks to go differential with, like, the captaincy or different choices. This week I don't think is one of them. I think we have Kane and Son. I think Kane's the captain, especially for the triple captaincy choice here. Whereas, like, if we look at weeks down the line, 32 is this week. 33, Salah at home to Newcastle, or Bruno away to Leeds. That's where you're kind of looking. You're not going to be going, ooh, well, let me go Iheanacho at home to Crystal Palace. Maybe, but I mean, the other two are like the big hitters that were going to be highly owned and highly captained are the ones you kind of going to go for because you can think they can do well in this fixture. Again, Spurs, Sheffield United. I don't think that's a Son fixture. Although Kane and Son both play in it, and Son could do well, but I think that's more of a Kane type of thing, and Kane's going to be, quite highly owned and quite highly captained in that one. 35. Liverpool at home to Southampton. That could be something where Liverpool, I think they lost earlier in the season. Liverpool going to want to get that one back. Spurs away to Leeds. Maybe that's a Son captaincy. But I think, Liverpool at home to Southampton looks quite good. 36 is where it can get interesting. Jesse Lingard away to Brighton. Could be good. Maybe an Everton shout. Maybe like a Richarlison as a differential. Because Man United and Leicester play each other. But again, West Brom away is still a very good Liverpool fixture. 37. West Ham, they play West Brom. So that's where you could potentially differentiate. Spurs versus Aston Villa. Maybe something there. Fernandes at home to Fulham is probably Fernandes is probably one and only, maybe. Like out and out, like this maybe his best fixture. Comparison to all the other ones in the same game weeks. And then on the last day of the season, Liverpool at home to Crystal Palace. If they're vying for a top 4 spot, you got to bet that, or the Golden Boot as well for Salah. You got to bet that he's going for it. So yeah. I'm probably not going to watch the Everton game if I used it on Son. I mean, that could be. I mean, who knows? Everton might do well. We'll have to see. St. Maximin against Sheffield United. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, if you want to talk about trying to make up some ground, that's definitely a way to do it. But it's can he stay fit? That's the real issue. He's someone who's been injured in the past. It's if he stays fit, then yeah, cool. Sheffield United looks great for him. And I think is the likelihood that Newcastle are still going to be fighting for something in Game Week 37? Maybe, and if they are, then yeah, it could be looking quite nice. But if you're looking at midfielders to potentially get rid of this week for 37, if you look at the midfielders I have Fernandes, Salah, Jota, and Lingard. So Lingard's team plays West Brom. That's not going to happen. Fernandes plays Fulham at home. That's probably not going to happen. Unless maybe, United's already got second sewn up and they can play literally whoever they want. Or they can rest Fernandes. And even then, I would say Fernandes is probably still going to play. Like I say, United's in the Europa League final. I'm not sure if the fixtures are done by then. But let's say, hypothetically, they are. Then maybe Fernandes gets rested the last 2 games of the season. Who knows? Liverpool away to Burnley. At Turf Moor is going to be a little bit more on the difficult side, so maybe there is a shout for St. Maximin, but if they're not playing for anything, then it might be a bit of a waste. But I think they'll just play their best team anyway. Benching KDB2 this week is either a huge W or a huge L. Yep, I mean that is definitely that's the risk we take, and I believe it's less than 1 minute left before the deadline. Because the deadline is in 1 minute's time, I believe. Yeah, 1 minute's time. So yeah, that's gonna be my team. I've made too many transfers this week, and yeah, less than 30 seconds now. We have the same amount of points. Do we actually? 18-13. Yeah, you're slightly ahead of me. Maybe because I've taken the hit this week, so that's why it does it. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Anyway, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's time. That's the deadline stream. Done and dusted. Is the game going to kick me out? Not yet, apparently. letting people go overtime here. Oh well, it is what it is. What's my overall exactly? It is 945,951. So I'm, what's that, 151 places behind you? If your rank's 945, 400, I'm 151 places behind you. With the exact number of points. Mental. I'm being robbed here. I'm being robbed. Allowing people to do extra transfers. Is what it is. But yeah, let's move over the big screen here. But yeah, I think if it was like if it's higher up the ranks, then it's not going to be that like kind of different. But hey, that could be the difference between like somebody being 9999 or 10k, you know, which is interesting. But yeah, that's going to do it for the deadline stream. Hope you all enjoyed it. We will be back probably Wednesday, I would say, for the preview stream. That is going to be Thursday, and then the deadline is Friday, so not going to be too much in terms of streams until the latter stages of next week before the deadline. We will be still doing videos and stuff like that as well. Maybe I do a lineup announcement video. I'll probably do a lineup announcement video on the Thursday. Wednesday will be the preview stream. Friday will be the deadline stream. Tuesday, maybe we'll go with the captaincy video there, and then Monday I'll think of something maybe. But we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Oh, now it's down. Yeah, only 2 minutes late. Yeah, there we go. The game is being updated. Yeah, now it's down. Hey, somebody could have got maybe a last minute, captaincy switch there. Or last minute, transfer. So, but we'll see. But yeah, if you haven't done so already and you're watching this over on YouTube, make sure to come give us a follow over on Twitch and follow us on all the socials, so that we can, have more interactive than we already do. It is quite interactive on the deadline stream. So make sure to come check us out for those. The next stream will be in a pinned comment down below on the video when it goes out on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, because we want to see if we can get the optimistic goal of 2k subscribers by the end of the season. And maybe if we just maybe hit that mark, might do a little bit of a giveaway for one of the lucky subscribers. So yeah, thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.